from the Crypt.
Hello, boys and ghouls. Welcome to episode 80 of Dads from the Crypt, the Tales from the Crypt podcast. My name is Jason. I'm joined by Jody. Or not. Jody's having some technical difficulties tonight, so he might be here. He might be in robot form or not completely. So we'll just roll with it.
This would be perfect time to have Jody respond to everything in Morse code. Tap out SOS if you need help, Jody.
Yeah. And we also are joined by Mando. Happy birthday.
Hello. Thank you.
Birthday.
I'm joining this 40-year-old club. It's pretty cool.
I know. It's about time you caught up with us.
Oh, I know. But you know, it's all right. I don't mind being 40.
I've always loved the irony that you're the youngest of the three. You have the oldest kid. I'm the oldest of the three, and I have the youngest kids. And Jody's the middle, and he has the most kids.
So I don't know if you know this, but you could technically, when you're in your, you find out like X days after a female cycle, they technically can't get pregnant. People that use that method for birth control, you know what they're called? Parents. Yeah, parents. So kids, don't use that method of birth control. Use protection.
All right. And tonight we are joined by Matt and Paul from the Mutant City Horror Podcast.
Hello.
How you guys doing?
Awesome, man. Thanks for having us. This is great. Super stoked.
Excellent. Why don't you start off by telling us about your podcast?
You want to take it, Matt? You want me to take it? What do you want to do, man?
Go for it.
Okay.
Go for it.
So Mutant City Horror is a B horror / low budget horror movie review podcast. Started not last year, but the year before that. So 2021 was technically our first episode, which nobody will ever see or hear. So many technical problems. We had like 9 cameras and like all kinds.
Oh, we were going deep with that one.
It was weird. But yeah, I don't know. Matt and I have known each other since we were, I don't know, like 96 maybe. So not, we've known each other since 96.
Wow.
And we've always just kind of hung out, best friends, getting drunk, hanging out, watching movies. We have a love for horror, for sci-fi, for, video games. And so, we'd always, just hang out, drink and watch movies and just talk shit. And so, life is what it is, and we're separated by distance now and circumstance. And Matt approached me a couple of years ago and said, hey, got this idea for a podcast. We can just hang out, drink like we used to, and just, review movies, and said, sure. So our first season is entirely on YouTube. It was a video podcast, which was rough to start, but in the end, I think we really kind of found a niche, a lot of video editing, splicing in scenes from movies, things like that. And then we went on a little bit of a hiatus, and then we came back and decided to do just an audio only podcast because it was more simplistic as it relates to time and resources. And so we are just posting our 11th episode tomorrow. We're going weekly. So just kind of hitting a stride. And we've had our first official non-friend / family member guest on last week, and we're guesting with you guys. So again, super grateful that you guys invited us to kind of sit in and hang out.
No problem. And then
Is it? Hang tight. Sorry, that's me. I don't know what's happening. Oh, sorry. I had
I think Mondo's watching wrestling while podcasting.
Double overtime.
I didn't close the window. I'm gonna leave that in. I didn't close the window down, and I'm like, where is that noise coming from?
That's awesome. All right. Well, Matt and Paul, why don't you tell us about your first experiences with Tales from the Crypt, any favorite episodes that you have?
Yeah, go for it, Matt. I'll let you go first.
All right, I'll tell you this, man. It came at a time where we had the TV in the front room and stuff like that, and I had to wait for my mom and dad to go to bed and stuff like that. A lot of sneak ups, and dude, I love the Crypt Keeper, man. He was always there with me and stuff. He was like an Al Bundy of my day, you know what I mean? Like,
did he score 5 touchdowns?
4 touchdowns, Jason.
Depending on the episode.
No, but I just I don't know. I always enjoyed it, and It's so hard to say what my favorite episode is, but I will say one that sticks with me all the time. I don't know why. You guys remember that one with oh God, was it Joe Pesci?
Mm-hmm.
Joe Pesci.
No, that's
Yeah.
split personality. Was it split personality?
He had a fake twin brother. 'cause
Yeah,
he was
yeah.
dating
Oh
twins.
yeah.
It's a great one.
That one
Yes.
stuck with me the most. So
Yeah.
that was definitely one.
Well, and Paul?
That's not fair, man. That was my answer.
So you have the same
What?
answer.
No way. No way.
Hey man, you guys
Yeah,
are friends a long
yeah.
time. Makes sense.
Crazy, dude.
No. So yeah, I don't know. We didn't have cable in my house, and I'm the oldest of my brothers. There's 4 of us, and then of my cousins, I'm kind of the oldest too. So I was always kind of like tasked with like babysitting and shit when like all my my parents and my aunts and uncles would get together and they just hang out and party. I was always like the babysitter. So we'd go over to my aunt and uncle's house and they had cable, and so we'd stay up late, kind of hanging out. No one's paying attention, and started watching Tales from the Crypt. Yeah, I just fucking loved it, man. Like I love the way that like I wasn't supposed to watch it, like it was a secret, just kind of in the room with my cousins and my brothers, and just feeling like I'm getting away with something,
Yeah.
And then all the carnage and the nudity that comes with it sometimes. It's like, yeah, this show is great, dude.
Yeah.
Had it all.
But yeah, the only 2 that stick out to me are split personality, because I think it was at the same time when my brother and I were introduced to Casino.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, cool.
Freaking love Joe Pesci, and then we're like, oh, he's in Tales from the Crypt. Let's watch it. So yeah, I think that whole like era for me was just kind of it made split personalities just kind of solidified. And then there was one that was Arnold Schwarzenegger direct it. Yeah. Okay. There, and then that one sticks out for me as well. So
Nice.
yeah.
All I know, I want a sitcom now with like a remake of Married with Children now with the Crypt Keeper as the dad.
I
Like deep fake the Crypt Keeper into
Yeah.
Married with Children.
I
Did
had
the Crypt
read
Keeper working as a shoe salesman?
So I had read that they were going to be rebooting that series with the original cast, but it was going to be like an animated series, and I was like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
There's so many peeps. So like we've had a couple of interviews with people about all the rights behind it and how just fucked everything is right now, which sucks because
I can imagine.
not a day goes by I don't see someone on Twitter saying like, when are we gonna get Tales from the Crypt streaming on HBO Max? It's like, yeah, never.
Yeah,
Well, I
probably.
mean,
Never is a long time, but I want to hold my breath.
Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
I mean,
Well, hold on real quick, Jason, before you move on. Matt had a question about the Crypt Keeper. I don't know if he remembered.
Oh,
but
I can add that in at the end or
Oh, okay.
whatever.
No, go for it.
I'll wait till the
yeah,
end. for that.
no, shoot.
Go
Well,
for
some guy had come up to me one day. I thought I'd bring this up to you guys since you're fans. And he somehow brought into the conversation. He was like, he thought that Crypt Keeper was a female, and I was like, nah, it's a dude, right? And I was thinking about it, and I was like, well, man, I have seen him dressed both ways, right? So, really, I mean, I think gender neutral, but I just thought it was kind of funny, like to bring that up. I was like, have I been wrong all these years?
Huh. I definitely think he definitely bends a genre sometimes, almost the way that Bugs Bunny does.
Yeah, he's like-
exactly. That's what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't think if someone said that was a female, I don't think they'd be wrong either. Like they really never.
They
think
don't
ever really-
specify, and that's what
Yeah.
really confused me. I was like, oh, I don't know. It's a good question. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a puppet, so
Jason-
lift
yeah,
up the
that's
puppet
right.
skirt and
find out the
Let's-
old
let's-
fashioned way.
yeah.
Oh, look, it's a Crypt cock. Like,
All that reminds me of are the hot dogs that Apu used to serve at the Quickie Mart, where it's like a
Oh,
pin
no,
on it,
okay.
kind of like a fly on it.
All right, we're really going off the rails.
It's like the ones I wrap with
Alright,
bacon
yeah,
that just
we
don't
are.
look quite right.
All right,
Uh,
we'll reserve the that kind of talk for the end.
okay.
All right, we're traveling back to November 9th, 1994 for Operation Friendship. Mondo, since Jody's gone off into the void of internet's 401s or 404, whatever, give us a plot synopsis.
All right, so I'm gonna
Just go
Jody-
simple.
Yeah, we're just gonna go very simple. So there's this guy he's a computer programmer, and he has a split personality where almost like a Fight Club scenario where you meet his more sinister and I guess more cooler personality. His imaginary friend Eddie, and then he meets a woman who comes to the apartment building and she's looking for something to eat, and he has this fucking crazy computer program like Yelp.
Yeah, it's Yelp in 1994.
I saw that and I was like, holy shit. Like I really want to talk now to the person who invented Yelp and see if they saw this episode, because what if they did? What if this is their idea behind it? Yeah, like holy shit, like were they forward thinking on this? So she looks for a Chinese place, he tells her where to go, and she keeps saying, like, dropping all these hints, which, by the way, ladies out there, this is how stupid we are as men. Like, and no, I was even watching the episode, I was like, I can't quite tell if she's actually flirting. Is she flirting with him? So men are stupid, I'm just saying. So you have to be very, very blunt if you're flirting with us. She definitely wants him to go out to dinner, so she finally talks him to go out to dinner. He goes out to dinner with her. She reveals he's a psychologist while he's having this conversation at the same time with his imaginary friend Eddie. Eddie's doing all this weird stuff, and it's weird because he's reacting to his imaginary friend, but nobody else seems to care that he's having these weird reactions to things that aren't happening. Like, they kind of ignore all that. Long story short, they both kind of fall for her, and then Eddie starts, like, what does he start doing? He's like showing him memories, like of the nun with no name that he knew when they were younger. I'm very buzzed right now, so this is going very good. And more stuff happens. Towards the end of the episode, he decides he's gonna break it off with her, right? That's what I got out of this. Yeah, okay, cool. Jason's nodding. So he decides, but Eddie's like, no, we're not gonna do that. They have a fight. Eddie kills him. Like, I don't quite.
Well, no, Eddie tries to get Nelson to kill her. That's right. When he refuses, he throws the quote imaginary friend Eddie throws Nelson out the window, so he kills off that part of him so he can take over.
Yes, I do love he's taking swings at him, and Eddie's just like the worst punches in the history of punches. And then the last thing, so basically, personalities happen, things happen, and next thing you know, Eddie's taken over. And the end of the episode is Eddie being like the cool guy at work, and him being all sinister with his stupid face. And I didn't like this episode. That's about what I got out of this.
All right,
so, I'm not okay.
I'll take it.
Good enough for me.
All right, Paul, what did you think of this episode?
I didn't think very much of it. I love Tate Donovan. I knew him from 24, and like I always get him confused with the guy, the doctor from Scrubs.
Oh yeah,
they look like. So when I saw his picture, I was like, "Oh shit, is that him?" And then I was like, "No, it's Tate Donovan, 24." Okay, whatever. The only thing I really liked about the episode was that it had the vibes of like a Drop Dead Fred. I don't know if anybody knows that movie.
Oh god, yeah.
Drop Dead Fred was
that
awesome.
movie.
I fucking love that movie, man. Drop Dead Fred. And then it's also got the Fight Club vibes to it. And so that scene, the whole premise of one mind taking over the other was very like Tyler Durden-esque. So those two components were like the only thing that I liked of this one. I thought that I don't know if we're going to get into like the breakdown of the episode, but we're
there. Spoil it. Spoil it. Go over where you want.
The tone of the show just seemed very like whimsical, kind of playful. I think and
that was the music too. It was very
the score to it was just, it didn't match up. There was one part where it was a little like serious, darker, which I was like, okay, this is starting to feel more like a Tales from the Crypt episode, but then it like immediately reverted back to that happy, playful, whimsical sound, and then it was just like, it was almost like a joke.
Yeah.
So yeah, that didn't not one of my favorites. I'll just say that.
Paul.
Nope, that's me.
Oh, sorry, Matt. Sorry.
Damn, Jay.
I was looking at the news too, but my brain just dyslexia.
I'd say I didn't hate it that much. And the whole playful thing that you were talking about, I kind of expect sometimes from Tales from the Crypt. I do, because there's kind of like a quirkiness to it sometimes. Not all the time, but there is, here and there. I don't know. I'm kind of in the middle with it. Like, it's not one of the best episodes I've seen. Definitely not the worst. So I'll say that. But I can't, being a fan all these years, I can't tell you if I've actually seen every single episode.
Yeah.
So, it was all right. It was all right.
Armando.
All right. There was like no horror in this episode. And I think that's what kind of bummed me out. Like, like you said, at the Fight Club thing, the drop dead, it felt more like the whole thing was just tongue in cheek. And, we talk a lot about Tales from the Crypt has that comedy that you need and it has the horror you need. But like, it's also, again, this is the episode where the villain won, right? Well, it's the same dude, but his shitty personality won. And they had like, I thought it was actually really cool when they introduced the love interest as a psychologist.
Yeah.
So, like, they could actually do some really interesting stuff with that, right? But they didn't.
I thought he was going to start asking about split personalities, and she was going to start to like. I thought there was going to be some twist, or I'll get into that. My
yeah. Well, no. What Eddie warns him, like, remember last time he talked about me, and he remembers back with that really that nun who seemed like a terrible human being. Some other weird stuff in this episode. He has like a telescope pointed at a heavier set woman's room, and he's like, he makes mention to, I just like to watch her. I don't jerk off to her or anything. It's like, what the fuck? Like, it's
She was old too.
Yeah, why does that somehow make it creepier? I don't know. And there's a lot of like weird stuff. Granted, it was 1994. Things have changed. A lot of weird terminology they use and things they do in this. But overall, I just like, fuck, dude. Like, the story wasn't that great. The acting was good. I'll give it that. I think the acting was actually really, really well done. I think the direction was really well done. And they did some really cool shots where they like zoom in on his face and almost have the image like distorted to show kind of to try to kind of throw us for a loop as if we're seeing reality or seeing something that's fake. So that was good. But overall, man, like, you got to have some horror when it's Tales from the Crypt. And in this, there was zero horror. It was the villain wins at the end. I don't need a happy ending. I need someone getting some comeuppance, and no one got comeuppance in this. And this is definitely one of my lower tier Tales from the Crypt episodes. But the wraparound was fantastic.
Yeah.
The
wraparound was the Crypt Keeper going fishing.
Yeah.
Or was it not ice fishing? It was
hit harpoon.
Ice fishing.
Eyes fishing. Yes. That was good.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Can I bring something up real quick?
Of course.
Yeah.
I was telling my boy Paul here earlier. After watching this episode, it vaguely reminded me of a movie I just watched, a recent movie. I don't know if you guys seen it, called Daniel Isn't Real.
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it.
Yes, I have seen that. I saw it a while back. I remember it wasn't amazing, but it had a lot of interesting stuff in it.
Well, that's what it kind of reminded me of
Yeah.
a little bit, like that guy, the imaginary friend.
Damn, yeah, I know. I watched that movie like during the pandemic, and I remember liking it.
Yeah.
But I watched so many movies during the pandemic. Like, actually, the last 3 years just blend together. Let's be honest. But yeah, and that's actually a movie I think people should watch. I think that's a good movie.
Mondo, you're gonna start getting that a lot more often. Now that you hit your 40. Things just gonna start blending together.
No, what the dude? That's been happening the past fucking 15 years. It's not.
That's all the jujitsu.
All the head injuries. Yeah, it's fine.
I'll
I'm not
hop
thinking
in.
CTE, but it's
Yeah. I didn't hate this episode like I have a few other ones, and I wasn't bored by this episode like other episodes. So I would definitely call it mediocre, but it wasn't aggressively bad in any particular facet. I did find it a bit of a charm to it.
Explain.
So you don't really know that he has a split personality, because it starts off with him kind of being shit on by his boss, yada yada, because his boss takes credit for all of his work, and then they ask him if they can have a voice activated option for their accounting software, and his boss is like, oh yeah, sure, and then he turns to the guy's like, can we do that? And I'm like, fuck. Like, that alone just like stressed me out, actually. Like,
yeah, that's a lot
when
of
you work in
pressure
IT
to
and
throw on.
stuff.
So some dude has watched this episode too and be like, fuck Alexa or
I
Siri.
know. I'm like, you're about 20 years too early to even think about that, especially on accounting software. Imagine how much of a nightmare that would be to like just say all those numbers, and like if you mess up, how screwed you are.
Yeah. Have you ever worked for a company that still uses AS400?
No.
So it's like an inventory software that was made in the 70s or the 80s.
Oh yeah, no, I can imagine.
No, and a lot of companies, like major companies, still use it, and that's what it reminded me of. Like, and there's like 7 people in the world that can troubleshoot it.
Right. But then they cut to his apartment, and he's going inside, and then his quote alter ego is there. But there's nothing to indicate that it's an alter ego. So at first I'm like, oh, it's just his roommate.
Yes.
He's just chilling there. He's wearing like a really loud jacket or robe or whatever. So okay, this is an eccentric roommate. And then she knocks on the door, and he's like hiding the guy, so she can't see him. I'm like, oh, is he gay?
Why'd you go there, Jason? That's kind of weird. It's okay.
2 men living together. He doesn't want a woman to see the other man. I was like,
never mind.
maybe I'm reading again, but we've never had anything like that in any gay characters in any of the Tales From The Crypt episodes. So I'm like,
but Matt, you brought up an interesting point. The connection with Fight Club is kind of like in Fight Club, where he never wanted what's her name,
Marla.
Marla to ever meet Tyler. Because I think you almost look at a situation where I'm the lame guy, he's the cool guy. If he meets her, then he's gonna take her from me or whatever.
Yeah, but again, within the context of the show, there's nothing to prove that this guy's imaginary.
Not until they go to dinner.
Yeah. Well, I kind of figured that after a few minutes.
Well,
when he's hiding him away, you don't know he's imaginary. So I'm like, why is he like? Is he just hiding his roommate? Is he hiding his lover? Like, I was just trying to go through the
he hit him behind the door when the neighbor came over, and then he instantly like disappears when they close. He's not there when they close the door.
Yeah, that's when I was like, oh, something.
Later. I don't know what it was, but like the moment he walked in his apartment, I was like, this is an imaginary friend.
Oh.
Yeah, see, I got that too when I was watching it.
No, I did as well.
I
think they shoot it differently.
How animated he was.
Yeah, it was beyond like the norm.
Yeah, I totally figured there was something up with this guy, but I didn't immediately go to imaginary friend.
I might be making things up. I think that when they shoot him and almost have like a cartoon zoom in on him, so it's way over the top. So it's almost telling you, hey, this is not reality. This is almost like in old nightmare movies, like in the goofier ones where they'd have like goofy things going on almost, or they'd shoot it almost surreal to make you realize you're in a dream sequencer.
See, I like the little tidbits like that did that,
Then when she mentioned she was a psychologist, I was like hoping that he would start asking her about that, and they kind of like piece it together, or like that would play in more, and it doesn't really. But here's how I would fix this episode, or at least here's how I thought the episode was going to go. My thinking was that after they slept together, it would turn out that she also has a split personality, and the one that he's been talking to is the quote evil one, and that she was going to like trap him or something like that to kill him off so she could be with his other ego.
Damn, you should have made this episode.
That's where I totally thought it was going, because there's that.
I'm all like, what's next? What's next?
Well, that would be the twist, because usually with split personality stuff, they leave you hanging with that until the end for the bang, but they give you that twist right up front. So I thought the twist was going to be that she was also going to have a split personality, but hers is like murderous or homicidal or something.
There's that scene where she invites him over to the apartment for dinner, and she's telling him like, you were touching me, like I felt like you were touching me, like on my face and like on her chest. And my wife was watching it with me, and we both kind of like at the same time were like, that she's acting really weird. And so I thought that like what you said, Jason, because we thought like it was going to be like a shift in the plot there, which is why it would explain she's acting that way, and that would have been like the perfect opportunity for us to learn that her alter ego was the one that was getting caressed by his alter ego, and then it could have went from there. But no,
I think that's a little too high concept for this episode.
I guess
I like that idea. That's a good idea.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. I feel like it was kind of incomplete. Maybe it could have gone somewhere, but obviously, not in a 30-minute.
I just wonder, the first 3 episodes were such bangers that they're just like, okay, let's just get this one out the door. If they just didn't put enough time or effort into it, it's entirely possible when you're on that type of schedule.
Yeah.
I do want to roll down the talent in this one. It's directed by Roland Mesa. His only other directing credit is Revenge of the Nerds 3: The Next Generation.
Sounds about right.
Yep. Nelson is played by Tate Donovan. Been a ton of things. He was in Space Camp, if you remember that movie.
I do.
Clean and Sober. He was in 5 episodes of Friends and was actually engaged to Jennifer Aniston for a little while.
Shit, I remember that.
He was the voice of Hercules in the I think 96 Disney version of the movie.
Oh, that was a good Disney movie.
Yeah. And he was also in Argo, and there's also recently in Man in the High Tower. So
I like Man in the High Tower.
yeah, he's been a busy dude. The female lead, Jane, is played by Michelle Burke. She was in Dazed and Confused, and she played the daughter in the Coneheads movie.
Yes,
Yeah.
you also didn't mention the best movie she's in. That's okay.
What's that?
She's in Major League 2. She's
I missed that.
she's Wild Thing Vaughn's love interest that runs like a group home. Yeah, come on, like that's one of the few sequels that's better than the original.
I was like, he said Coneheads. He said the best one.
Yeah.
Coneheads was good. I do like Coneheads.
I love
Coneheads was
Coneheads.
really good. But Major League 2, I love Major League 2 so much.
And then Peter Dobson plays Eddie, the alternate personality. He was in the Bates Motel TV movie. I mean, he also played young Elvis in Forrest Gump. He was in Party of Five. He was also in The Frighteners.
He's played Elvis in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, he's kind of a go-to.
Really?
Yeah,
Elvis
he's got a
impersonator.
bunch of Elvis credits in his IMDb page.
That's crazy. I love the Frighteners. Frighteners.
I was just
Yeah, it
gonna
was a great
say, I was
movie.
trying to remember who he was on there.
He played Ray Linsky. Was he the ghost? That was
That
like
nerd guy that was running,
yeah,
that one.
I think so. I'm gonna look that up. All Jason. Yeah, that's who he was.
Okay, yeah, that's. I was trying to put a face to it. Okay, I got it.
That's a great movie. If you hasn't seen the Frighteners,
Yeah.
go stop. No, don't stop with the podcast.
Yeah, don't stop the podcast, please.
Rate and review the podcast, and then
Don't
go
mess with our
watch
algorithm.
and then go watch the Frighteners.
It's a good movie, all right.
Which was also supposed to be a Tales from the Crypt movie at some point.
Yeah.
It was considered
Oh,
the
that's
base.
cool.
Interesting.
All right, and then John Campanero plays Jack, who's the shitty manager of Nelson. He did a ton of TV. His biggest role was in The Good Life. And then we got a fun little bit from Ethan Suplee,
Yeah.
who plays for like one scene. He plays like a bully character, like flashback or something like that. This was his first credited role in TV or film.
Oh wow,
Get out of here. That's awesome.
Yeah,
he's like a crazy Scientologist now.
Is
I
he?
know that.
Yeah,
But-
he's
I've seen
hardcore
him like
Scientology.
he shredded a ton of weight.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Super jacked.
Yeah, he
But,
got into bodybuilding and like you can't even recognize him anymore, which is good for him. Like
Yeah.
Dude,
But he's in Mallrats, American History X, Remember the Titans, The Butterfly Effect, My Name is Earl, and on and on. He's just been a ton of things.
He will always be Randy Hickey from My Name is Earl.
Yeah.
My heart, dude. That is one of my most favorite shows of all time. And he is so good in that show.
my favorite part of that entire show is when they say the origin of Crabman. And because the whole show you're wondering how did Crabman get his name, and spoiler, one day Earl's like, he's like, hey Earl, and Earl's like, hey Crabman.
You worked at the Crab Shack.
Yeah.
Oh, my favorite episode was when the cops episode when they were on cops.
Oh yes. that was a great show. Apparently, like what's his name, Jason Lee just became impossible to work with.
Oh, really?
That's what I read about. Like the reason why like one was the show went stopped is because he became just kind of out there and no one wanted to work with him.
Interesting, because
Almost like a TJ Miller case.
I had read that they were promised a 5th season, so they ended the 4th season on a cliffhanger, which is when Joy had revealed that she was like gonna announce that the dad, like the kids that she had obviously weren't Earl's, so she was announcing who the father was. So they left it on a cliffhanger, and then they just canceled the show. And so I think his name is Jeff Garcia, the guy who made the show. I could be wrong. You can fact check me. He went on to make another show called Raising Hope that came out on Fox.
Yeah.
And there are so many jokes about My Name is Earl in that show. It's
It's fun to know that. I'll watch that show. I love My Name is Earl, so I'll watch it. I'll check that show out just because of that.
You'd love Raising Hope. It's
Okay.
so stupid. It's hilarious. It's so good.
You had me at stupid.
All right. Since Jody's not here, I'm gonna do the comic comparison. I don't have it's from Crypt of Terror. I don't have the date or anything in front of me, but I'm sure if you really want to know, you can look it up on your own. So it's about an old man. It starts off with an old man, and he's sitting in front of a chessboard, and he's talking to his other friend. We never see the other friend, at least not until the end. And basically he's just kind of recounting their lives together. They met as young boys. And as boys do, there's a panel of them. One boy saying to the other, "Gosh, Andy, I like you." The other boy says, "I like you too, Phil. Let's be pals for life and seal it in blood." So they do a blood pact. They save each other from bullies. And then whenever a girl hits on one of them, they kind of brush them off because they want to hang out together. And again, maybe it's just me, but I'm picking up some homoeroticism vibes there. They work together in college. One of them wants to be a doctor. The other wants to be an electrical engineer. They develop this process where they put electrodes on animals outside of animals' brains and pick up electronic signals so they can hear their thoughts. Even though like they do it on a squid and it goes eek, eek, eek. That's its thoughts.
Man, that's what squids do.
Yeah, as squids do.
They eke around the ocean.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so they graduate, they go into their own businesses, but they have their offices right next to each other because they're just best friends. And then every night they get together to play chess, but one of them becomes dissatisfied and then just starts showing up for his chess games less and less until he breaks the news that he has a girlfriend, and that enrages the medical doctor. He brings his girlfriend to meet his he brings his girlfriend to meet his friend, and he thinks that she just wants him for the outside. She doesn't appreciate his intellect on the inside. And then they kind of break off connection for a while. But I guess they let's see. The doctor starts experimenting in his lab about electrical brainwaves like he was before, but he wants to take it to the next step. He just needs the perfect specimen to try that on. He wants to do a lobotomy to remove 75% of the brain and keep the other 25. That's what he's trying to do. Anyways, his friend who got married, I guess he's having some issues, so he wants to stay with his friend for a couple of weeks. Then he lures him down to his lab. Cut to a couple years later.
Different. This is way different than the show.
Oh, it's way different. It's very different.
I'm like,
oh no, it's the punch is coming. So basically, he stays a couple weeks with him. Then they flash forward where he comes by. The married guy comes by with his wife, and they just kind of stay. Doesn't really say much, and the wife's like, "Okay, time to go." And then he reveals that while his friend was staying with him, he removed 75% of his brain. And he keeps it with him, and he puts the electrodes on so they can talk and have conversation and play chess to one another. And he put the other 25% back into the body so he can just kind of function.
Sorry.
Yeah. And then like
here's a quarter of your brain. Good luck, fucker.
Yeah, pretty much. But the guy, I guess, but the other 75% has like independent thoughts. And he's like, no. What did you do to me? You're mad. But then you just go off and play chess together for the rest of their natural lives or whatever.
That sounds better than the shit we had to watch. So.
Well, it's funny because watching the episode primed me made me think that they were actually going to be the same person. So this kind of like set me up for another what I thought was going to be the twist that they were separate personalities, and that's where the episode got that. But they made that up specifically for the episode. So as I'm watching this, and this guy's narrating all this to the brain. But the brain can't talk unless he turns on this device. So I'm thinking that we don't know it's the brain yet. So I'm thinking he's actually talking to his alternate personality that he thinks is his best friend. It's weird.
Yeah, it's.
But
I wonder if Chuck Palahniuk saw this episode before he wrote Fight Club.
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, the timeline does kind of match up. So I know he wrote it like probably 97, 98. So maybe in some way it was inspired, but I love that book, by the way. It's a fantastic book.
Never read the book. I've read a lot of Palahniuk, but I never read that book.
It's really short.
Yeah, me too.
You can get through it like a day.
Have you guys read the second one, the comic they did, the graphic novel?
I read parts of it. Yeah, it was interesting.
I was wondering. I haven't seen it or read it. I'll tell you what sucked though is when they made that fucking movie Choke based off this book. That movie was fucking terrible.
Yeah.
That book is so good.
I didn't hear anything good about it.
No, you shouldn't watch it.
I didn't hate it. I like the cast a lot. Sam Rockwell.
Well, yeah, Sam Rockwell's cool, but the movie sucks.
Yeah, I mean that's a book you can't really I don't know if he could really do.
Dude, Polonic has that book too. I forgot what it's called, like Stranger Than Fiction.
Yeah,
if you guys get a
that was
chance,
good.
that's a really great
really
one to
good.
read. Everyone should read that. That's just a fun, not really a book, I guess, a series of essays about just. He won't say who. He says everything in there is probably a true story,
Mhm.
but he won't say who. But you can guess like who's behind each story.
Yeah. He did the book about Portland when I used to live there. So like, I mean, I like checked out a lot of the things he referenced in there. So yeah, he's a real.
Was it about
people?
Was it about people smoking clove cigarettes and throwing scooters into the river?
Yeah, we'll have it. All right. Let's move on to our episode rating. We do 0 to 5, 5 being the best, 0 being the worst. You can do half points. Paul, what do you give this episode?
I'll give it a 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's just because it's a Tales from the Crypt episode. But if I were to watch it, if you were to show me this episode and not tell me in advance that it was a Tales from the Crypt episode, and then you told me after I watched it, you would have blown my mind. So yeah, I don't know. I'll stick with the 2.
Paul?
Matt,
God,
Jason.
Sorry.
Jason.
Sorry.
Damn.
Matt has his name on his
know.
window there, Jason.
Right there.
Yeah.
Jason,
it's all good.
Steen.
I'd give it a mighty 2.5. I did like it a little bit better than some of you guys did, but I also think it had some good ideas, but didn't deliver them the right way. I don't know if that makes sense, but
Definitely.
I feel like it was setting up for something better, and I think I wasn't really too satisfied with the end. So,
all right, Mando.
I'm interested in what Al has to say about this episode.
Yeah.
I'm very interested in what Al has to say about it. So this is my least favorite episode I've seen so far.
Wow.
And it's definitely so. I think for the first time ever, Jason, I'm gonna have a lower score than you. I don't know, first time ever.
It's happened.
I'm probably gonna have the lowest score on the show, but I'm gonna give it a 1.5 because I still think some of like the acting I think was actually really, really well done. And I still think the cinematography is pretty cool, how they did some of the shots, like Matt mentioned earlier. And so I don't think it was a total waste, but like if you're gonna tell someone, hey, you should check out this show called Tales from the Crypt, and this is the first episode they watched, they're probably not watching another episode.
Yeah. All right. I'm going with Matt on this with a 2.5. Not the best episode by any means. I don't know if I would say it's a good episode, but I didn't find anything offensive about it. There's nothing that made me like mad about it or bored. That's the two things I don't want. I don't want to be mad, I don't want to be bored. And I can't say I was, but about that way about either. So there you go. And now we're kicking over to our friend Al Katz. And we're back. Mando, give us your song of the day.
So this again is a great show, a show I love, and an episode that I think is just subpar and probably shouldn't really be around. So I picked a song based off a band that I actually really like for the most part, but it's one of their subpar songs. It's actually a song I kind of like too on a album that gets way too much credit. So it's a little band called Megadeth by Dave Mustaine, and he notoriously kicked out of Metallica. And so what's funny is he always talks about how he's kicked out of Metallica and how it was an injustice. But I listened to a podcast, Chris Jericho's podcast, had Ron McGovney on it, which was Metallica's first bassist. And if you listen to that podcast, you will fucking hate Dave Mustaine. Like, he was a piece of shit to Ron McGovney. Ron McGovney was telling stories about Dave Mustaine would just sell his basses to random people. We have to go buy them back. Yeah, dude, like the guy's was a piece of shit. And granted, he's old now and he still kind of sucks. He says some stuff that human beings shouldn't say. But off the record, Countdown to Extinction, there was a song, and for some reason, I swore to God that this song was on what's it called? The Brain Scan soundtrack. But it was not. Alas, it was not. It is Sweating Bullets, which is a song about multiple personalities. And I actually really love the song. I just really hate Dave Mustaine singing. Because he's got that weird snarl. And it's actually funny. When he first formed Megadeth, he didn't want to be the singer. He was trying to find a singer that could sing like Rob Halford or Bruce Dickinson, Iron Maiden and Judas Priest, respectively, because he figured he had to find a singer that was better than James Hetfield. And for the record, James Hetfield sucks now. He was very good when he didn't know how to sing. Once he learned how to sing, and now he has to be a crooner. Like, and those new songs, by the way, have you guys heard those new songs Metallica did?
The last album I listened to was the one after Death Magnetic.
Hardwired?
Yes. So anything after that, I'm out.
Well, that was the last record. And I actually really liked Hardwired. A lot of stuff about Hardwired. The new songs, it's like, what the fuck? Is he 12 again? He's trying to write emo songs? If Darkness had a son, fuck you, James. You're a 64-year-old billionaire. Like, like you can't pretend like you're some gritty street kid again. What it sounds like now is a band, a bunch of old people that are trying to be a thrash metal band. Whereas Hardwired actually felt like an organic record they wanted to write. It seems like they felt like they need to go back in that style. So getting off topic there, but the new Metallica songs suck ass. I'm sorry, they're not fucking good. But Hardwired is cool. But yeah, song of the week, a little Megadeth, Sweating Bullets. Of the album Countdown to Extinction, which that album gets so much credit, but it wasn't a great record. It had like 3 or 4 good songs on the whole record.
But it had a pretty cool cover.
Oh, and Symphony of Destruction is an all-time great song.
Yeah.
Legit all-time great song. I actually think they did the song is off Hidden Treasures for the last Action Hero soundtrack, Angry Again. That came around the same time, and that was probably the best song they ever did. But that's another story for another day. If you're going to do a Megadeth podcast, we can talk about that.
I don't see a Megadeth podcast in our future, but
me either, because that's about all I want to talk about Megadeth.
Yeah.
Although rest in peace, the early records were pretty good. Then they wrote that song called, remember that song called for Bill Goldberg, the wrestler, called Crush 'Em? Okay, never mind.
No.
I'm the only one that remembers this. I think even Dave Mustaine regrets that. He doesn't regret much.
He sells, but who's buying? That's a good one. All right. Since Jody's not here, he sent me some links for horror news.
I
got it? Okay, go for it.
I got this. So Thanksgiving has
Yes.
started shooting Eli Roth joint, which started as a trailer in the Grindhouse films back from, when did that come out? 05?
Oh yeah, so like not like 5, 6, 7 or something.
Yeah, so that's actually started shooting, and that's going to be 2007. It was Grindhouse. There's no release date yet, but that was one of the coolest trailers when they gave all the fake trailers in between. And if anyone out there hasn't seen Grindhouse, watch it, but like watch the whole thing. Watch it as a
trailers, everything in between.
Yeah, spend a Saturday just watching both those films with the trailers in between because it's so good.
But ironically, the movies based on those trailers, at least so far, have been better than anything else.
Well, Machete's the only one that's been made, right?
Yeah.
No, Hobo with a shotgun.
Oh,
that was a trailer from that?
No shit. I don't remember that in there. No, I only remember 3 of them.
Yeah, Hobo.
The 3 that I remember.
I'm waiting for that Werewolf Women of the SS.
That I could probably do without.
Yeah.
But I thought Hobo's shotgun was great and Machete is great. So,
dude, I do not remember that being a trailer in
me either.
Movies.
It was. I 100% guarantee
it was.
Holy shit. I love that movie. Matt and I were just talking about it the other day. We were talking about that scene where Ricky from Trailer Park Boys gets his head fucking ripped off in the sewer.
Oh yeah,
when they pull it with the car and shit.
Oh god, that movie's actually really good, and it's shot total 70s style with a 70s crime boss and everything. Yeah. That's a fun movie.
Yeah, I'm pumped for Thanksgiving, especially if they do it in the style of the trailer. That could be really fun.
Where he cooked the grandma and stuff and made her the chicken stuff.
Do it dirty. And the girls on the trampoline. With the knife going through.
Right.
Oh,
that's right.
Man, they're gonna make a side project too called Stuffing Grandma.
If they have Michael Biehn where he like licks the blood, he says, "It's blood, that bastard." Gets really pissed. I love it.
They're also making a Dead by Daylight film.
Saw that too.
Yeah,
I saw that coming for sure.
It's just weird, right? Like I don't know what they're gonna do with that, but
it's Blumhouse, so if they can take all their properties and like mash it together, like fucking Megan and Bagul and the Insidious guy. I don't know.
Blumhouse is actually they're going that video game route too. Apparently they were doing that one with that other famous one. All the kids were playing the
Freddy's
Fortnite.
Yeah, Five Nights at Freddy's.
Five Nights at Freddy's. Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Like, I don't know, because I know Dead by Daylight got really big over the past few years. They added like Pinhead in there, like Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
I doubt that's gonna be in the movie, and it shouldn't be. Like, I don't want that in a movie.
Yeah.
I hate to say that. Like, I hate to say I don't want Freddy and Pin on the same screen. I don't want them in the movie where they're like a bunch of kids trying to survive.
Yeah.
So also some viral marketing for Scream 6, which Ghostface has been showing up across the country in different live cam feeds, which is kind of weird. Like in Arizona in the blizzard, he's been in Colorado feeds and California feeds, which is kind of cool, I guess, for some viral marketing. Also, like, you don't do this in Texas where they can just shoot you on site.
God.
It reminds me of that clown epidemic we had. Remember
Yes.
that? Where the clowns were popping up everywhere. It's good advertising.
But that wasn't a marketing. I think that was just people,
it was
like,
just for whatever. I don't know what
Yeah.
the fuck they were doing.
There's actually a video of that. I think they're doing it in like Los Angeles, and the guy pulled a gun on the clown. I was like, oh, I'm just joking.
It was stupid. You know, people are gonna get killed doing that kind of shit.
You're dressed as a clown walking around with a sharp object. Like, someone might shoot you. Like, fuck off.
Mhm.
And that new movie's coming out called Malum, which is a retelling of 2014's Last Shift, which I actually really, really like that movie.
Yeah, I like that one.
It was a legit creepy movie.
The one where she's a cop, right? And she's overnight. Oh my god, yeah, that had chills down my spine, man.
Yeah.
That thing was weird movie.
It had that like CGI cover on it, but God, I remember watching it not with no expectations, and that was a legit scary movie, I thought. So, they're kind of getting a bigger budget, and with a new, it's it's releasing in theaters actually on March 31st.
Okay.
And they call it a bold and expanded reimagining of the 2014 horror cult classic Last Shift. So definitely check that out, because Last Shift was pretty fucking good. And the cast is, I'm not going to go through all the names, but the cast is like a who's who of recent actors and actresses who've been in a lot of low budget horror, independent, low budget, but independent horror films. And then last but not least, McFarlane Toys is back, and they're making a new Movie Maniacs line, but it's not horror. Good. Those are the best, right? But this new one's,
I loved them.
New one's not going to be really horror. The only line they've announced so far: Bugs Bunny, Ted Lasso. Oh, I know, and Harry Potter and the Wicked Witch of the West. So right now, it does not sound like it's going to be very, very horror themed, but hopefully we'll see some horror figures come out of McFarlane Toys again.
We can hope.
Yeah, they might open it up.
The Bugs Bunny toy looks cool as shit, but like, do you need a
Todd McFarlane Toys always makes everything look cool as shit, man.
Yeah, that's true.
One of my favorite lines they did was like the 6 Faces of Fear or something. It was like Elizabeth Bathory and Rasputin and Vlad the Impaler. Like the Rasputin one actually has strings where you hang him off hooks above a pit of rats. Those are some really cool figures.
They had the Lost Souls ones too that were they look like the Cenobites from Hellraiser. They're all or Tortured Souls. That's what
Tortured Souls, yeah. He did too the Wizard of Oz.
I think I've seen
where Toto was like a giant like werewolf looking thing. Like,
really?
Yeah.
Yeah. They were cool.
I liked his Blair Witch. That was fun.
Yes and no, but you didn't really need it. It's kind of like when Inspector Gadget came with a Dr. Claw figure.
Oh. Well,
no one needs to see that shit. It just ruins the mystique of it all.
But yeah, but it wasn't an official. It was like imagine what if kind of thing. I thought it was kind of cool.
Okay, Jason.
Okay, Mando. All right, that brings us to our dad advice. So we have 2 esteemed guests. I think Paul, you mentioned you have kids, and Matthew, I don't know if you have kids or not.
I do not. I have a turtle. Does that count?
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
But what dad advice would you guys give us in our audience? You knew this was coming.
Yeah, I did, and like, there's just so much. It's hard to just like drill down on one thing. I don't know, man. Patience is always it's a thing. Like, if you don't got it, you're gonna get it, or you should develop it, because it's just a waiting game with the kids, man. You just got to be patient, hear them out, treat them like people, don't talk down to them, and just be patient with them, because it can be a lot sometimes.
Yeah. And just to kind of tie things back to this episode, again, that opening scene where Nelson is like at work and his boss is like taking credit for all of his shit, his programming, and then like promising, features that he has no clue if they can actually do or how fast they can do. Like, he really needs to advocate for himself and, speak up when he needs to. And that's, I think, something that you can pretty early on start helping your kids like advocate for themselves. And
Yeah, it's true.
and or do it in a healthy way. It's like a lot of times my kids get into arguments and I'm like, they wanted to watch a show or on their iPad or whatever. And, I'm like, well, did you ask for it? And the kid's like, well, no, I just wanted it. So I grabbed it. I'm like, well, I think it would help if you told your brother what you wanted to watch and asked them. Like, oh,
Unless you're that kid that beat up their whole class, like we talked about last week, then you can just do whatever you want.
well, yeah.
You don't ask for shit.
I'm just saying, like, that's a life skill that takes, a long time to cultivate. And it's
Yeah.
not always the easiest thing to do is, especially in a work environment, where you don't want to rock the boat, but sometimes the boat needs to be rocked in a healthy way.
There you go.
I'm gonna add some. So I bought some stuff for our good friend Andy, who just does awesome stuff. At Aussie Andy on actually I don't know what he's at on Twitter and Facebook. I'll link him. But he sent me a little card, so he sent me and goes, "You can grow old, but you don't have to grow up." And I just find that to be just very, very good advice.
Yeah.
Because I don't know about you guys, but my parents suck. They're like, all right, we're like 40 now. We're just not gonna do anything. Like we're gonna read the newspaper and do drugs. That sounds cool.
There's that scene.
Actually,
There's that scene in Fight Club where Ed Norton's talking to Brad Pitt, and he was like, "Yeah, man." He's like, "I just feel like I'm a 35-year-old boy."
It's funny because like as you age, you always think like, oh man, I'm never gonna get old. No, we're all gonna get old, but you can have a mentality of saying you don't have to like lose the things that you enjoy. Like I think we're in a time now where, especially when you realize now with the internet and everything we have now, there are other people out there to share your interests, and you don't have to stop loving the things you love when you're younger just because you age.
Yeah,
like, I'm gonna do jiu-jitsu till I fucking die. So
I think you have to find you have to learn to find the balance between your responsibilities and doing the things that you enjoy. Like as an adult, there's certain things you have to do and you have to get used to it.
Yeah,
you can't just play video games all day, but you can like learn. You have to like accept that there's the things you have to take care of in order to have time to do the things that you enjoy. And sometimes you can find ways to do that. Like I don't like doing dishes or folding, but I'll put on earbuds, listen to podcasts while I'm doing it. Win-win.
There you go.
I pay someone to do that now.
Must be nice.
Yeah. Must be nice, Mando.
No, I still fold in the dishes. I'm just kidding. I pay someone to clean up my toilets and shit because that's just time. I want to go choke people. It's more fun than doing.
There you go.
Else.
Mondo's a psychopath. Apparently,
I'm not a psychopath. It's just well, we know as you get older, right? Like, what was the most core thing you did when you were a kid? Is like roughhousing, right? And playing with the kids. I'm just doing that shit as an adult, and we all recognize what it is. It's just us, just making our lives better by learning how to kill people in a padded room. But we have a good time doing it, and we're all friends afterwards.
The first rule of jiu-jitsu is you don't talk about jiu-jitsu.
No. The first rule of jiu-jitsu is you talk about it every fucking chance you get, and you can't shut the fuck up about it. It's so in the 2018 Halloween, the dad goes like, I can protect my family. I do jiu-jitsu. And we're watching. I told Cal, I was like, he doesn't do jiu-jitsu because in the entire movie, he mentioned it one time. So we know that's bullshit. We're like, we're the vegans of the martial arts world. Like, we can't wait to tell you we do jiu-jitsu.
You're the podcasters,
and that's not a knock on vegans. Like, but like if you have friends that are vegans, they'll happily tell you they're vegans. That's okay because they're proud of it. And that's cool.
I believe my supervisor does that too. He does jiu-jitsu. I believe it's jiu-jitsu, but he tells me all the time. So you're right.
Yes, it is all the time.
I'm like, what, 3 days? Oh yeah, because I got a championship this weekend type thing. It's like, all right, cool.
All right, so there are people though. All right, so you got to ask him what belt he is. He's like, I got a championship this weekend. Like, all right, dude, if he's like the local champion of Naga, and he has a belt. He's not that good. Like it's just, you have motherfuckers that are white belts and they'll win like the white belt championship at a local club and post on an Instagram profile like world champion white belt. Like, no, you're not. Like all you're saying, you're the best of the worst. Like, just fuck off.
Right.
It's just funny shit. Those people, like, I don't know, dude. Like, it's funny because when people first start, like, they'll get their white belt, and then once they get we didn't do stripes. They do stripes because people need motivation. But then we do it for 3 months, and that's their Instagram name will be like Bob_BJJ. and their whole personality would be jujitsu. It's like, and then as you get bigger, better and better, it's like just fuck off that shit. Yeah. But we're definitely not normal. Like, there's something wrong with us, but it's fine.
There's something wrong with all of us.
I need to talk to that psychologist from this episode. Maybe she can help.
There you go.
You guys are all fucked.
Yeah, we're all fucked. we know there's something not right about trying to choke and like armbar and break your friend's limbs and then laughing about it later. Like, we know that's not okay.
Well, who's worse, the guy who's trying to do it, or the people who are like rooting them on? You know what I mean? I'll always be the guy. I'll always be the guy. Like, yeah, do it. Yeah, break it.
So when you're just training like your local whatever gym, no one's rooting you on. Like, it's just everyone's, and even like what's funny is even like when you go to competitions, the crazy about competitions is that you'll like watch your team compete and everyone's just having a good time. Like it's all love. It's all good. The people that are assholes about it and get pissed off about things are the ones that don't like get any respect from anybody. It's all about love. Like my wife goes to my competitions and she's like, I don't get how you guys can try to kill each other, and afterwards you guys are just friends and laughing about it. I'm like, oh, that armbar, you almost broke my arm. How'd you do that?
That was so cool.
Yeah, that's so awesome. I thought it was gonna break. Yeah. The more I talk about it, the more it is psychopathic, but it's fine.
You may be a psychopath, Mondo, but you're our psychopath.
I appreciate that. And you know what? I'd rather be doing this shit at 40 than doing nothing at 40. That's my thing. Like, it's my favorite thing in the world. Keeps me young.
All right. Well, that wraps up another episode. Matthew, Paul, thank you for joining us. Where can people find you?
You can find us on Instagram at Mutant City Horror, but more importantly, you can find us on Spotify, Mutant City Horror. That's where you can find all the shows.
Excellent. Well, thank you for coming. Next week, we will be reviewing Revenge is the Nuts.
What was better than this one? It can't be worse, right?
Man, I'm gonna watch it just to see. I'm gonna be so mad, like,
dude.
Do it side by side. Like,
we have this thing that whenever we have guests on, it's like the worst episode. There's no in between.
Yeah,
the episode that we watch is the worst, not the episode we record.
Yeah, not the episode we do, but the episode we watch is always the worst episode. Like, fuck, we made people watch this.
Well, that's half the joy. Okay. We appreciate everyone for listening. We really would appreciate it if you would give us a rating or review on iTunes, a rating on Spotify. Check out our Patreon for bonus content. Also, check out our YouTube for videos of these podcasts. And with that, we thank you for listening to Dads from the Crypt.
Adios. Goodbye, everybody.
Follow Dads from the Crypt on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, or I will follow you to the grave. No, seriously, you really should watch. But be careful what you ask for. You may get it.